God Hari Bol.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Narayana
Namaskrityam naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayamudire nashtaprayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavatiruttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naištiki Krishnaya vasudevaya devaki nandanaya cha Nandagopakumaraaya govindaya namo namaha.
Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 6, Chapter 1, Text number 39. Katham svidhriyate dandaha.
Katham svidhriyate dandaha.
Kim vasya sthanamipsitam.
Kim vasya sthanamipsitam.
Dandya kim karinaha sarve.
Danya kim karinah sarve.
Ahospit kati chindrunam.
Ahosvit kati chindrinam.
Katham svidhriyate danda.
Katham svidhriyate dandaha.
Kim vasya sthanam ipsitam.
Kim vasya sthanamipsitam.
Dandya kim karinaha sarve.
Dandyaha kim karinah sarve.
Ahospit kati chindrunam.
Ahosvit kati chindrinam. Katham svidhriyate dandaha.
Katham svidhriyate dandaha.
Kim vasya sthanamipsyate.
Kim vasya sthanamipsitam.
Kim vasya sthanamipsitam.
Kim vasya sthanamipsitam.
Danyaha kim karinah sarve.
Dandya kim karinah sarve.
Ahosvit kati chindrinam.
Ahosvit kati chindrinam.
Katham svidhriyate dandaha.
Katham svidhriyate dandaha.
Kim vasya sthanam ipsitam.
Kim vasya sthanamipsitam.
Dandeha kim karinah sarve.
Dandya kim karinah sarve.
Ahosvit kati chindrinam.
Ahosvit kati chindrinam.
Kathasvit,
Katham svid,
by which means.
by which means
Dhriyate
dhriyate
is imposed.
is imposed.
Dandaha,
Danda
punishment.
punishment.
Kim,
Kim
what?
what?
Va,
Va
or.
or
Asya,
asya
of this.
of this.
Sthanam,
Sthanam
the place.
the place.
Ipsitam,
Ipsitam
desirable.
desirable.
Dandyaha,
Dandyaha
punishable.
punishable.
Kim,
Kim
whether.
whether.
Karinaha,
Karinaha
fruitive actors.
fruitive actors.
Sarve,
Survey
all.
all.
Aho, ahosvit,
Ahosvit
or whether.
or whether.
Katichit,
Katichit
some.
some.
Nrinam,
Nrinam
of the human beings.
of the human beings.
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. What is the process of punishing others? What are the actual candidates for punishment? Are all karmis engaged in fruitive activities punishable, or only some of them? Purport. One who has the power to punish others should not punish everyone. There are innumerable living entities, the majority of whom are in the spiritual world and are Nitya Mukta, everlastingly liberated. There is no question of judging these liberated living beings. Only a small fraction of the living entities, perhaps 1/4, are in material world. And the major portion of the living entities in the material world, 80 million of the 8.4 million forms of life are lower than human beings, they are not punishable. For under the laws of material nature, they are automatically evolving. Human beings who are advanced in consciousness are responsible, but not all of them are punishable. Those engaged in advanced pious activities are beyond punishment. Only those who engage in sinful activities are punishable. Therefore, the Vishnudutas particularly inquired about who is punishable and why Yamaraj has been designated to discriminate between who is punishable and who is not. How is one to be judged? What is the basic principle of authority? These are the questions raised by the Vishnudutas. अमज्ञानतिमिरन्दस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कलामयं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतः पदकमलं श्रीगुरोन् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगना रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं
अद्वैतं नावधूतं वरीजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं
श्रीराधा कृष्ण
पादान्
सहगना ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे नमो महावरण्याय कृष्णप्रेमपुरायते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्यनामने गौरवाणी हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधाकांत नमस्ते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये नीलाचला विवासाय नित्याय परमात्मने बलभद्र सुभद्राभ्यां जगन्नाथाय ते नमः पञ्चाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 6, Chapter 1, Text number 39. The Yamdutas are asking, Vishnus are asking to Yamdutas, what is the process of punishing others? Who are the actual candidates for punishment? Are all karmis engaged in fruitive activities punishable, or some of them? Only some of them. Hare Krishna.
The second line, no? Sthanam, how it is understood?
Sthanam. The place. Sthala Kala Patra. That is Sthanam is the Sthala. Desh Kala Patra. Where is to be punished? Who is to be punished? Who is the candidate for punishment? So essentially they are asking this question Are all karmis engaged in fruitive activities punishable or only some of them? Who are the actual candidates of punishment? Are the animals also are punished? So Prabhupada is clarifying in purport. The major portion of the living entities in the total creation of the Lord are in spiritual world. Only small fraction of living entities are perhaps 1/4 are in material world. So because spiritual world is 3/4 creation. This place is Ekam Shinastito Jagat. Prabhupada says only 1/4 of the creation of the Lord. So out of this, there is no question of judging the people who are liberated. They are beyond jurisdiction of any punishment. Because all their actions are pure. The person who is absorbed in material world may not understand. Vaishnavira Kriya Mudra Vidyana Bhujai. Those who are liberated souls, their actions are difficult to understand for a conditioned soul. So if one judges them based on the material laws, or laws created by someone in the material world, and then punishes them, then he invites all trouble in his life. That's why it is said also that when Prithu Maharaj was ruling, Prithu Maharaj is the incarnation of the Lord. So it is mentioned that this is 4.21.12. Maharaj Puttu was an unrivaled king and possessed scepter for ruling all the 7 islands on the surface of the globe. No one could disobey his irrevocable orders but the saintly persons, the Brahmanas, and the descendants of the Supreme Person of Godhead, the Vaishnavas. Srila Prabhupada says that Prithu Maharaj ruled over the earth many thousands of years before the so-called prehistoric age. And it is clearly mentioned that here that in those days, not only were all the different parts of the world known, but they were ruled by one king, Maharaj Puttu, one king Maharaj Puttu. The country where Puttu Maharaj resided must have been India, because it is stated in the 11th verse of this chapter that he lived in the tract of land between the rivers Ganges and Yamuna. This tract of land, which is called Brahmavarta, consists of what is known in the modern age as portion of Punjab and northern India. It is clear that the kings of India once ruled all the world and that their culture was Vedic. The word Askalita indicates that the orders by the king could not be disobeyed by anyone in the entire world. Such orders, however, were never issued to control saintly persons or the descendants of the Supreme Person of Godhead, Vishnu. The Supreme Lord is known as Achyuta, and Lord Krishna is addressed as such by Arjuna in Bhagavad Gita. Senayor Uvayor Madhye Ratham Sthapa Ya Me Achyuta. Achyuta refers to one who does not fall because he is never influenced by the modes of material nature. When the living entity falls down to the material world from his original position, he becomes Achyuta. which means he forgets his relationship with Achyuta. Actually, every living entity is the part and parcel or son of the Supreme Personal Godhead. When influenced by the modes of material nature, a living entity forgets this relationship and thinks in terms of different species of life. But when he again comes to his original consciousness, he does not observe such bodily designations. This is indicated in Bhagavatam by the word Pandita Samdarshana. Material designations create differentiation in terms of caste, color, creed, nationality, etc. Different gotras or family designations are distinctions in terms of material body. But when one comes to Krishna consciousness, he immediately becomes one of the actual gotra or descendants of the Supreme Person of Godhead, and thus becomes transcendental to all considerations of caste, color, creed, color, and nationality. Prithu Maharaj had no control over the Brahmana Kula, which refers to the learned scholars in Vedic knowledge, nor over the Vaishnavas, who are above the consideration of Vedic knowledge. It is therefore said, Arche Vishnu Shiladir, Gurushu Naramatir, Vaishnave Jati Buddhir, Vishnurva Vaishnavanam Kalimala Mathane, Padatirthe Ambu Buddhi, Shri Vishnur Namni Mantre Sakala Kalusha He, Shabda Samanya Buddhir, Vaishnav Sarveshware Swareshe Tad Itara Samadhir Yasyava Narakisa. One who thinks the deity in the temple to be made up of wood or stone, who thinks of the spiritual master in the disciplic succession as an ordinary man, who thinks Vaishnava in the Achyuta Gotra to belong to certain caste or creed, or who thinks of Charnamrut or Ganges water as an ordinary river or ordinary water, is taken to be the residents of the hell, Padma Purana. From the facts presented in this verse, it appears that people in general should be controlled by a king until they come to the platform of Vaishnavas and Brahmanas, who are not under the control of anyone. Brahmana refers to one who is Brahman and or the impersonal feature of the absolute truth. The Vaishnava is one who serves the Supreme Person of God. So, Prithu Maharaj, such a powerful incarnation of the Lord, Shaktavesh Avatar, when he was ruling, everybody there was no opposition to him, unrivaled king. And his ruling rod, king is, he has this power with him to ruling or the regulating those who are not following, then they are punished for kingly power. So he said no one could disobey his irrevocable orders, but the saintly persons, the Brahmanas and the residents of the Supreme Person of Godhead. So one who is given such powers, leadership, should be very careful about not misusing those powers. Out of pride or desire for gratification, when we misuse those things, then one degrades down, falls down from his position. Out of madness, or out of laziness, or out of pride, greed, envy, whatever, if one is misusing his powers. That's why everybody in this material world is very eager to get powers. in Kali Yuga especially, they want big positions, but without qualifications. And such hankering for having big positions invites troubles in their lives. Because they are not able to handle those powers. When they are put in such big powers, they are bound to exploit the people whom they are responsible. Like today's Kshatriyas, kings, everybody want to get big positions. First of all, to get those positions, they adopt all the wrong means, corruption. And when they get those big positions, they don't follow any guidelines how to rule. They have to follow scriptures. They cannot make their own laws. And therefore, fine. To get public votes, these people are allowing meat eating, gambling, illicit intoxication. Bhagavatam says that Kali Yuga political leaders will be thieves and rogues, who are just power hungry people. And they don't care for the laws of God. The result of that is what? Not only they are punished, they will be punished eventually. Sometimes they are also punished. They are killed or they are whatever happens. They fall when their piety is over, whatever previous piety, then they fall from their position, become ordinary people. And in meantime, everybody suffers because of such things. The common public also suffers, and they also suffer. That's why you find sufferings are increasing. And instead of realizing the cause of sufferings, they simply keep on making all materialistic plans, promising to the people that they will help them to become happy. And sometimes after such people, they use their powers to punish innocent people also. Actually, Kshatriya means those who are ready to serve the dependents by protecting them, protection. Kshat means the injury. Triya means protection. The Kshatriya's business is not to just collect taxes and enjoy and punish innocent people or anybody. They should be very knowledgeable whom to punish and whom not to punish. In the 5th canto, towards the end, also there is a mention that there is a hell if somebody is punishing the people who are innocent.
Solar.
5.29.
36.
In his next life, a sinful king or governmental representative who punishes an innocent person or who inflict corporal punishment upon a Brahmana is taken by the Yamdutas to the hell named Shukara Mukha, where the most powerful assistants of Yamra crush him exactly as one crushes sugarcane to squeeze out the juice. The sinful living entity cries very sinfully, cries pitiably and faints just like an innocent man undergoing punishments. This is the result of punishing faultless person. So they gave him the body which doesn't die. Like sugarcane juice is put, sugarcane is put into the machine, crushing. Practically there is no gap. It goes through it and all the juice comes out. Similarly, the body of the person is given to him like that. He goes through it, undergoes that pain, but doesn't die. he can faint or cry suitably and faints, but the body will not die. Human body will not survive like that. Human goes into that, finished, dies. But that body doesn't die. Because ultimately soul doesn't die. No? Soul continues to live in the body, suffering all those things. Very horrible. Hell means there are such punishments, but bodies don't die so easily. Sometimes people are fried in the oil. All these things are undergo such punishment, but they don't die. Sometimes you also can see sometimes somebody is suffering a lot, but doesn't die.
Like,
Huh?
like in dream.
Not dream also, physically also you can see people suffering. Sometimes in hospitals or like that, people don't die. No. People sometimes say, "Arey, when I'm going to die?" No, but they don't die. Sufferings are there a lot. So the amount of suffering we inflict on others, they all will be coming in our lives sooner or later like that. Laws of material nature are very stringent. When one enjoys certain things, oh, I am having big position and I can exercise my powers on others, one can enjoy those things. But if one is not knowledgeable, like handling fire, if you don't know how to handle the fire, one may miss out of it. You know? There can be fire accident or there can be trouble because of the fire. Therefore, previously, before somebody becomes a king, 15 to 20 years of his beginning of his life, from the age of 5 till 25 or 20, he was trained in Gurukul. He was not trained to just how to do martial arts, how to fight. That was a small portion of this training. Main training was to groom his character. That character was built by the Guru by teaching him the Vedic literatures, Vedic knowledge, by making him to follow purificatory processes, chanting holy name of the Lord, serving the Lord, and doing menial services. Vasandanti Guru Ritam, Brahmachari Guru Kule, Vasandantu Guru Ritam. 20 years of his life, when he's really voicing the simple activities in Gurukul, humbly serving. Then, when he's put as a king, with the same consciousness, he will take care of the people, just as a servant. Otherwise, how can somebody survive like this 15-20 years of his early age, teenage, everything goes into that. Now you see that today's modern youths or the children, they are given so much pampering and doing all kinds of, there is no control of senses and mind, only demanding things. And there is so much of pressure for them to get bigger position and earn more money. With this hungry for the power and self gratification. When they are put in such position, what they are going to do? Exploit others. There is no consciousness to serve. Therefore, today's world situation is very, very bad. Leadership, people should be so afraid of this. If I am not qualified, why should I hold the positions and create problem for others and myself? One who is actually having compassion for others, one who is having service attitude as a menial servant, who is in harmony with the Lord and his instruction given in Vedas, then such a person is qualified leader, servant leader. Then he can actually benefit himself and others. Otherwise, unqualified man is put into positions, it becomes troublesome for everyone. Any position in the Lord's arrangement you will find, even somebody wants to become Indra or Brahma, a lot of purificatory processes follow. To perform one Ashwamedha Yajna, so many procedures are there. It takes months or years together to perform that for a king. He has to perform so many ritualistic activities, cleanliness processes, to remove impurities from his heart, samskaras. And then, like that 100 ashwamedha the person performs. Then he has to go and take shelter of the brahmanas every time. Qualified brahmanas, not ordinary, very qualified. Sages and brahmanas. That whole process of undergoing that, performing one ashwamedha is tremendous purification of the heart. And then one is qualified to become Indra. Similarly, Brahma also, 100 lifetimes somebody is following the varnashram perfectly. Not one lifetime, 100 lifetimes. This Vedic varnashram system, then one becomes qualified to become Brahma. So this is how the Lord has arranged this whole Vedic culture or the universe. And modern man, leaving aside this, throwing away these Vedic guidelines, they are making their own systems. Go through this materialistic education system and we'll give you the powers. No development of character. Whatever piety person has previous life, he may get those powers, but because he is not trained into the value system and right spiritual principles, they are bound to misuse those powers and make suffering in their own lives and others. One who has the power to punish others should not punish everyone. So these people will punish if somebody becomes against them. Somebody is questioning them for their activities. These people use their powers to punish them, keep them quiet. And many times you'll find devotees are punished. In places like Russia, we saw how devotees were punished there because they were trying to preach Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada is saying, what we are doing harm to others. Some places people were put in jail in Australia or London just because they are preaching Krishna consciousness. So now what we are doing? We are just asking people to chant Krishna's name, distributing prasadam. Haridas Thakur was punished. So this is what material world is. Like those who are Kali Yuga is those who are trying to spread Krishna's message. They are completely harmless people, and this Kali Yuga rulers, so-called Kshatriyas, who are supposed to be well-wisher of everyone in their kingdom. But they will allow all slaughtering of the animals, and they will punish the innocent public, and they will punish innocently people. And what is waiting for them is very horrible punishments in hell. This is a lesson for all of us also. Sometimes we judge the devotees or judge, we are put in small positions and we are judging, finding faults and then eager to punish them. Our society, we should be very careful because we are dealing with devotees. If we are not actually really having that well-wishing heart, just out of anger or envy, if we give logical reason and punish people, then we fall down from our position. Vaishnava means you should have compassion in the heart. The kings, earlier kings, they actually had compassion. Just like a good mother or father, they feel affection for their children. Sometimes they punish out of affection. But the child is not behaving properly for the benefit of the child. Not to vent out their anger and frustrations as happens in today's world. Father and mother, they're venting out their angers, which is coming out of their other problems in their lives. Sometimes the father has a lot of pressure of the his office or whatever is that. He comes back and vent out his anger there on child. Because he is in office, he has to keep quiet. So somewhere he has to vent out. You know, it happens. Once we were coming in a train and we saw father and mother having small child. The child was crying. And the father was becoming so angry, beating the child, small child, in the hand. From the Howrah till Kharagpur. The child was continuously crying. I don't know how much power he had to cry. And every time he's crying, he's beating him. Keep quiet. And 2 minutes he'll keep quiet, again start crying. Doesn't know how to handle only. Myself and Prashkumar will come in and we saw. The whole bogie could hear the sound of the child crying. If one is having such kind of attitude, then he is not qualified. Actual father and mother should be very compassionate. They should think about how to take this child back to Krishna, how to make him free from the cycle of birth and death. That is the first, qualification of every leader. One who is thinking, meditating on that, how to connect people back to Krishna. Otherwise, doesn't have a right to become Pitana Sasyat, Janani Sasyat, Devana Sasyat. One doesn't have right to become father, mother, king, or demigod, or guru, Guru Na Sasyat. If they don't take responsibility of their dependents to actually take them back to spiritual world, free from the cycle of birth and death. Nowadays, the so-called these parents or any kinds of, they just want how to extract things from their dependents. Meantime, the parents are putting pressures on children because of social pressures to get some prestige in society or to get this gratification. And my child should become very educated. Why? Because then my name will be in society. People will, or later on when you earn money, and then I can enjoy. Whatever my unfulfilled desires will help me to fulfill those desires. This is the attitude of many other parents I have seen. Just because to maintain the social prestige, they are putting so much pressures on children. Without their actually having the ability, they are putting pressure for this academics. Everybody wants to have their child get in IIT, and get a big package. There are all the talks about how much package person has and how which college is going to make admission. No one talks about the character, developing the character of a child. And then they punish. Actually, parents also punish the children. And when the children are punished because of such pressures they are building on themselves. And they portray that I am actually welfare, thinking of welfare of my child. But you don't realize that they are thinking simply about themselves. Because they are not trained themselves into spiritual values and spiritual practices. They are driven by their own greed and lust and envy for others. The neighbor's child is having so much, my child should get this, envy. To get prestige in society. And that's why they don't understand whether their child is that having that capacity or not. They just put pressures on them, punish them. Same thing that, the one who has power to punish should not punish everyone. There are innumerable living entities. Even animals are not punished for saying that. Animals act according to their nature. Even these mosquitoes who are coming, another shloka in Bhagavatam says that we should not kill the mosquitoes also. This shloka. You may say he's biting me. By the arrangements of the Supreme Lord, low-grade living beings like bugs and the mosquitoes suck the blood of the human beings and other animals. Such insignificant creatures are unaware of their bites, unaware that their bites are painful to human beings. However, the first class human beings, Brahmanas, Kshatriyas and Vaishyas, are developed in consciousness and therefore they know how painful it is to be killed. A human being endowed with knowledge certainly commits sin if he kills or torments insignificant creatures who have no discrimination. The Supreme Lord punishes such a man by putting him into the hell known as Andakupa, where he is attacked by all the birds and beasts and reptiles and mosquitoes and lice and worms, flies and any other creatures he tormented during his life. They attack him from all sides, robbing him of the pleasure of sleep. Unable to rest, he constantly wanders about in darkness. Thus in Andakupa his suffering is just like that of a creature in the lower species. The mosquitoes, what else is there? Mosquito. So devotee means actually we don't want to harm anyone. Naturally it is. There is no envy. That is a devotee. Na krodho na cha matsarya bhaktanam purushottama. Those who are devotees of the Lord, they don't have any envy, nor they have any anger out of this envy. Anger coming out of dissatisfied lust or anger born out of envy. There is no question of such anger and envy in the devotees. Na krodho na cha matsarya bhaktanam purushottama. So when such a person who has no envy and no such anger, when he is put in a responsible position, his purpose of punishment is only to help the living entities to make advancement out of compassion, or to protect other living beings being injured by these people who are harming, to stop them from harming others, injuring. That's why the king punishes, to make them advance in spiritual progress. That is one punishment, and to protect others from getting injured, not out of his own frustrated self gratification, not out of just anger born out of envy. So that's why it is said that we should not judge others unnecessarily unless you are put in the position as a judge. Judge not, lest be judged. Jesus said this. Don't judge other people, lest be judged. That means try to introspect your own heart and see how much faults I have. In fact, when we are disturbed by seeing faults of others, that means the same faults are there with us. When you are having compassion, when you see fault in others, you will feel for them, you will pray for them. That is the meaning of actually seeing properly. It's like doctor sees a patient having some problem, not that he becomes envious of patient or he becomes hating the patients. He feels compassion if a genuine doctor is there. Similarly, a proper attitude of a devotee who to see the faults of others is only when you have that compassion and you are put in a responsible position to actually see the faults and to help them to make advancement. Otherwise, what business we have to see faults of others? We should mind our own business of making spiritual advancement. Why we have to go and try to if you are appointed by the superiors, spiritual master or Krishna, then only you can see those faults. Otherwise, what is the business? Because we have envy for others, we take pleasure in seeing faults of others and criticizing them. That's why our mind goes into that and we justify later on. I am such a great person. To see fault in material world, it is not such a big thing. Everybody has faults. But what is the purpose of our seeing faults? That we need to question ourselves. Bhakti Thakur said that if you are disturbed by seeing faults of others, that means understand you are actually honeycombed with those faults. You have so much fault within your heart, you don't want to see it. And that's why you see others and feel disturbed. The same fault is there in our heart. Look within, amend yourself, rather than pry into frailties of others. He says, look within your own heart. Don't try to see others' faults. When faults in others misguide or delude you, have patience, introspect, and find faults in yourself. Know that others cannot harm you unless you harm yourself. These are the instructions, last instruction of Bhakti Thakur. When faults in others misguide or delude you, have patience, introspect, and find faults in yourself. Know that others cannot harm you unless you harm yourself. And then the lastly says, I wish that every selfless, tender-hearted persons of Gaudiya Math will be prepared to shed 200 glands of blood for the nourishment of the spiritual corpus of every individual of this world. Tender-hearted. Our heart should become tender, not hard-hearted. When we are sometimes too much trying to study theoretically, and we are sometimes trying to too much strict in our own practices, then it sometimes without actually making devotional advancement. Our practices should make our hearts tender, humble. We simply become proud of, like Shrungi. Shrungi will become so proud. He was such a powerful Brahman. His curse worked actually. Small boy. Of course, it worked because Krishna wanted it. I said, these Kshatriyas are such foolish people. They are supposed to be like our shoes. They are sitting on our heads. He said also, Krishna has left the planet. That means he knew Krishna is Supreme Lord. Theoretically at least. And he said, because there is nobody now to supervise, that's why the Kshatriyas are behaving like this. Let me punish. And then he pronounced the curse. He had such powers with him, but he punished a pure devotee, Parishad Maharaj. So if we are too austere sometimes, without actually making devotional progress, then we can actually exercise our powers and things work. And we say, justify, I am right. You may be right while doing those things, but from the spiritual point of view, we don't make progress. We fall down from our positions by such exercising our powers. There should be compassion in our heart. There should be humility, attitude to serve. Otherwise, dangerous. So you said that animals need not be punished. Even these mosquitoes and everything, we should not punish them. Sitting down, just beat them, kill them like this. Not good things. We can use the repellents. We can use the smoke. What is this? Frankenstein and everything. Not even this. Today, modern this all outs and everything. They kill actually. They say it's repellent, but then I was reading it. It says they actually say killers. They write very, what was sanitized word. False. They say it's repellent, but they actually it kills. But traditional repellents like what do you call this frankincense, very pleasing. Prabhupada would like that very much. That you can put that smoke everywhere, and they will go away. They don't die. So that's the way to deal with them, drive them out, not let them kill. Today, the modern man, everything is kill, hit. You can kill thousands of cockroaches, and they want to keep the things unclean. If you keep the things clean, they will not remain there. They come where there is uncleanness, and to avoid their presence, then they kill them. When you kill them, again they come. Because uncleanness will keep on coming, and they keep on eating, and these companies will keep on making money out of that heat. That's what happens. They want that every product that should be utilized throughout, continuously. So therefore, such kind of solutions are found out. And because people are becoming killers, naturally they suffer. Suffering will come. Vaishnavas means he doesn't want to harm any even ant also. You have seen Jadavarat, right? He would not step on the ants also. Not to speak of deliberately taking something and killing. He was even walking, was very conscious that I should not kill the ants. Those engaged in the advanced pious activities are beyond punishment. Only those who engage in sinful activities are punishable. Therefore, the Vishnudutas particularly inquired about who is punishable and why Yamraj has been designated to discriminate between who is punishable and who is not. How is one to be judged? What is the basic principle of authority? These are the questions raised by the Vishnudutas. Once Yamraj was questioned by Mandukamani. Some thieves entered into the one sadhu's hermitage, Mandukamani's hermitage, and the soldiers of the king were searching. They also ran. They were searching and they found out in their hermitage. The sadhu gave them, somebody came to their hermitage. He was not them, their thieves. So they stayed in his ashram, and the king's soldiers came and then they saw the thieves were there and they arrested the thieves and they arrested his Mandukamani also, thinking that he is also one of them who has given them shelter. And they were punished. Thieves were punished and Mandukamani also was punished by giving severe punishment of putting on the suli. Suli is very dangerous punishment. They put very sharp spear, make a person sit on it. From the below it enters, comes out here. So such punishment was given to Mandukamani. And Mandukamani, by his yogic power, underwent that punishment, didn't die. It was going on, and the king understood. King heard about this. What happened to this Rishis? When the king realized that these people committed a mistake, they immediately came running towards Mandukamani, removed this punishment and asked forgiveness. He was very horrified, punishing such a saintly person. Mandukamani, when the king asked forgiveness, he said, "No, you are not at fault." He said, "Yamaraj at fault." I will go and inquire from him. So he went to Yamaraj. Because all punishments are ultimately under the supervision of Yamaraj. So he questioned Yamaraj. And Yamaraj told that in your childhood, you once with the grass, sharp grass, you pricked one butterfly, like this suli, from behind, just as a fun. And that's why you got this reaction. Mandukamani said, the small children are not to be punished like this. They are ignorant. When a person comes to the understanding, then only he becomes punishable. Same things. So Yamaraj actually committed a mistake. And this mistake was actually by the arrangements of the Lord, because the Yamaraj was not very happy punishing so many people there, sitting there in the position. He wanted the association of devotees. So Mandukamani cursed him. that you are not fit to be in a vice position. So you go and become a son of a
Maybe.
Shudra. So like that it comes. And Yamraj came and became the Vidura. Viduras was born in Dasiputra. But because he was a pure devotee, such curse also didn't affect him, because rather he was feeling so fortunate that I am come to this earth planet when Krishna is present. That was actually Krishna's plan. The purpose of the Yamraj committing mistake, it will happen by him by arrangement of the Lord, so that he can come as Vidura. And he assists the Lord in his mission. So sometimes even the devotees are punished like this. Krishna transforms that punishment into wonderful blessings. But the person who punished them out of envy or hatred may have to undergo troubles in his life, unless they ask forgiveness for it sincerely. Okay, any questions? Comments? I am speaking all these things so that I can be careful in my life.
Question.
Nobody came for
Yeah?
I think the online people, they thought class will start at 9. So they didn't come in starting and it order together.
यहाँ है दो लोग.
Go through one way. It is. Okay. If there are no questions, then we'll stop here. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Nirantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram.
But they cannot ask.